So hey, it's me at TB. This should be the first clip for the last week 3 of the trick or treat-a-thon. So here we are. It is Wednesday night. Obviously, I've not updated you since Thursday, I think, because of when the last vlog ended. But spoiler alert, haven't done much since then. Because I don't really read on the weekend anymore because schoolwork, and then I should be busy with school shit basically. So yeah. Actually, I'm still busy with schoolwork because I have to write 3 discussion boards by tonight so I can kind of stay on schedule for shit. So, great. So for now, I'm going to kind of go over what I read recently, and hopefully, if everything I have planned goes as planned, I should be able to kind of finish out all of my TBR this weekend, hopefully. So as for what I've read, for one of the classes I have to have a book as a source, so I read Key Concepts in the Gothic. Basically, it's as it sounds. It goes over a few key terms in the Gothic. So it's a general background, view how certain literary theories work if you apply them to the Gothic, or how you can use those theories, I guess. So yeah, it's very basic, but it was a fast read because I skimmed a lot of it, and hopefully that works for what I need it to for my class. If not, I might be fucked. But YOLO. And then the audiobook, I think Thursday afternoon and Friday, I think. And then I finished it out Monday and Tuesday, if I remember right. I finished the Darkness Rising trilogy by Kelly Armstrong. This is the sequel trilogy to whatever the trilogy I read week 1 was. I'm the Summoning Gathering or whatever. Yeah, that. It's a sequel to that trilogy, kind of wraps up plot threads, but it doesn't really, because the trilogy is so shit. The last book in this trilogy might be the worst book I read all year, so that's saying something. It basically recycles the same plot points that came from the first trilogy, makes them worse because they're so repeated over and over again. So it's just kind of shit, to be honest. So yeah, not a great time. And to be honest, did not start off this vlog on the right foot with that because it was just awful. So great. In fact, not even going to talk about what they're about because they were just so shit. And you can go find them on GoodReads if you really care, but I don't recommend it. So great. Then I finally finished Devils by Fedor Dostoyevsky for my novel class. I gave this 2 stars, I think. Basically, Dostoyevsky was really annoyed with how Western novelists were how heavily structured Western novelists, Western European novelists, were structuring novels. So he basically spent his entire career writing very long and meandering novels to kind of show that you can have a good novel without having it being heavily structured. Well, spoiler alert, this is awful. The characters are all very flat. The plot is very non-existent, pretty much. And it was kind of shit. So to kind of summarize this for you, we're taking place in a Russian province, and basically the first 200 pages of this are kind of background information for the whole group of people. But these 2 sons return to town, and they are revolutionaries, and with this revolutionary ideas, bad things start happening to people, and yeah, it's a shit time. I would not recommend this to anyone, though I have heard that Crime and Punishment is better than this, so maybe I will read that from Dostoyevsky, but not anytime soon, to be honest, because I just did not like my time with this. It was just not fun. And then I started another book on my TBR, which is Frankenstein in Baghdad. Basically, we're following, I'm almost halfway through it, so there's that. I might finish this tomorrow when I read for a class, but who knows. Anyway, so we are following a cast of characters in this, kind of bouncing between POVs every chapter, kind of fill out what's going on. But basically, this takes place in the U.S. occupation of Baghdad in 2005, 2006-ish, and following one of the American characters is Hadi, who is a scavenger. Basically, he ends up stitching together these body parts in an effort to kind of make these body parts a whole body, so the government will give it an official burial. And while doing so, the body ends up coming back to life, and afterwards, a series of people being strangled to death start appearing, and it's a whole thing. We're following a variety of characters. We're following, I think her name is Alishva, who is this grieving mother because her son was killed in war because he was recruited by some military guy, and he ended up dying in combat, so she's a POV in this. We have Mahmoud, who is this journalist guy who is kind of close to the main big leader of the journalist career thing, whatever. I don't know, it's a newspaper, magazine, something like that, who knows. But he's there, and his boss is very weird, kind of ends up like kind of like pulling my mood into like these weird like revolutionary like weird like circles or whatever. And then you have Hadi, of course, who's a POV. I don't think who else there is a POV. I think that's like our main like 3 pretty much so far. So yeah, it's kind of like weird. I won't say it's like spooky or horror or anything, but it is giving like Frankenstein vibes. Obviously, it's kind of like thinking more about like society as a whole during this. So yeah, it's kind of like weird to talk about. But yeah, I will give my full thoughts when I finish that. So yeah, and for class, I have started in the Dream House, which to be honest, I already know I'm going to give this like a low rating because I just don't like it. Because I knew right away that I was never going to pick this up, but I had to read it for class, so great. Basically, it's the author's way of like, kind of like talking about her recent relationship using like this idea of a dream house. It's interesting, I guess. That's all I really have to say about it because I don't really like it. So great. And then via audiobook, right now I'm listening to Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh, which is like this long-running, like book 1 in this long-running paranormal romance series, which people say it's like more urban fantasy, but I'm like almost halfway through it. We've just been like kissing or whatever, which is fine, but like there's like a plot to be had, and like usually I'm fine like romance novels not having like an actual like plot and just being like focused on romance. But if you tell me that, hey, we need to go do this thing, then like you should go do that thing and not like be over here like just having a romance arc and like no plot. So if like there wasn't like this overall plot problem, I wouldn't mind it, because there is like someone on the loose killing people. I kind of like want more like focus on the fact that like people are dying and like not less focus on like kissing. But here we are. I'm still liking it. I just wish like either the plot problem wasn't introduced as early as it was, or like there's less romance. But here we are. I'm probably still gonna give it like 3 or 4 stars depending on how it all wraps up. So yeah, that's all from me right now. I'll update you with more later, probably tomorrow. So yeah, I shall see you then. Hey, so it is like Sunday at like midnight. So we're like in the early hours of Sunday, and I spent basically all of Saturday reading academic journals for school. So basically you miss nothing from that, you know. So I read those. We're not going to talk about those obviously because, you know, it's all academic and boring. But I didn't update you Thursday or Friday, I think, because Thursday, I forget why I didn't, but I think I was busy with something. And Friday, I was really tired from work, so I just went straight to bed. So nothing to really update you on there. But I did read books. I forget if I ever mentioned I was even reading this, but I did start and finish Angel's Blood by Nalini Singh. This is like part of like her long-running Guild Hunter series, basically following Elena and Raphael and, you know, their romance and the shit that goes down with them. I did finish both book 1 and book 2. Book 2 is Archangel's Kiss. I gave book 2 5 stars because it was so fucking good. I think book 1 was only 4 stars because it has like a weird pacing thingy that was like really common in like mid to late 2000s when it comes to like urban fantasy and paranormal romance. So it's not really like a bad thing per se. It's just like a pacing thingy that I don't really like. So there's that. So basically, in this world, there are angels, and then the angels kind of create vampires. So we haven't got like a full explanation of just like how it happens, but basically like angels create vampires. So there's a whole like process where you have to like kind of like petition to become a vampire, and they're like tests you have to complete. That will decide like whether or not you're like actually acceptable to become a vampire and everything. And angels kind of like rule the world. They can basically do whatever they want because, you know, they have all the power, you know. So Elena is like this hunter, and she's basically like, and hunters in this world are basically like people that hunt down vampires when they go rogue, because vampires kind of like subservient to angels. And then when you return to a vampire, you have to like serve angels for like 100 years, I think, or something like that. So when a vampire goes bad, a hunter is called in to kind of like to either like kill the vampire or bring it back to the angel who owns it, basically. So Elena is there, and she's asked by Raphael to kind of like track down an archangel who is going rogue. So she goes fucking wild. Obviously, romance ensues, even though they do not like each other at the start of the novel. So obviously, it's like kind of like a hate to love, I guess. I would definitely say that book 2 is better with pacing and everything, and I feel like the romance was better in book 2, but that might just be me. Who knows? So yeah, there's that. That was the 2 books I finished on Thursday and Friday. But also on Friday, I read an audiobook of Monster Street by, let me look up his name, of Monster Street #1 by J.H. Reynolds, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. This is like a middle grade book. It's basically following this kid who is sent to live with his grandparents. And in the woods, there are like stories of like wolves living in the woods. And his father was killed in a hunting accident involving the wolves. Obviously, it was kind of obvious once you read it, like where the story is going to go with this. I thought it was obvious. Obviously, this is meant for like children, so I'm not going to hold it against it. So I give it 4 stars because like, I did actually like it. And I did almost tear up at the end because it was like really like sentimental and shit. So there's that. I think it's all I read since I like last spoke to you Tuesday, whenever. I still do writing for class, but I think I'll do that Sunday morning because I'm really tired. So I think Sunday we spent trying to finish my last 3 books for this readathon. Do I expect that to happen? Probably not, but I'm almost done with Frankenstein in Baghdad, so I should be able to finish that pretty fast. It's not like the writing will take me long. It's like pretty fast, I think, anyway. It's basically just writing summaries for the academic journals I read, and then kind of writing like 2 pages about like the academic writings or like the general academic ideas about whatever you chose to write about. Obviously, I'm writing about Northanger Abbey, so I'm just writing about like how academics have thought about it and talked about that book. Duh. So it should be pretty fast. I'm going to finish Frankenstein in Baghdad. I think I'm going to start Tower of Dawn and try and finish that before the day is over, because I haven't read fantasy in like a long time. So I'm going to use Tower of Dawn to kind of like slowly get into fantasy again, because Fire's Vengeance is going to be like very heavy fantasy. So I'm not going to jump into that right after getting like very like, you know, classics and like literary fiction. So hopefully I'll be able to finish Tower of Dawn because something else I have like planned to do. I think I have to finish like 1 discussion board post. But besides that, I should be good to go. So yeah, I'll probably update you more tomorrow. Like I'm assuming I'm gonna film like an update whenever I finish Frankenstein in Baghdad, and then wherever I get in Tower of Dawn. I doubt I'm gonna finish even that, but I shall try my best. So yeah, I'll tell you more then. So hey, this should be the final update for the vlog, and it is like Monday night because Sunday did not go as planned. So what happened on Sunday was that writing I had to do, it took up way longer than I was expecting. Like I didn't get finished with it until like 2 p.m. And by then we had our live stream, and then I basically didn't want to spend like the evening like reading really, because I had like other stuff I wanted to do. So I did finish Frankenstein in Baghdad and ended up giving it 5 stars because there are like a few like the way the story like kind of connects overall was very well done to me. And I really liked it, so I ended up giving it 5 stars because of that, which is weird because like on GoodReads it's like a 3.5, which makes no sense because I don't get like why people wouldn't like this. I guess because they don't feel like as connected to it, or they aren't able to like connect to the characters maybe. That's about all I can think of. I like what this book had to say about like war and all that stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend this. I will say that the stuff on the back says it's very like dark and horror-ish, but it isn't really. It's more like, I guess, more like philosophical is a good way to say it. I guess like there is like gore in like a certain sense, but it isn't like you go into expecting like horror vibes, you're not really gonna get it. Like there are like spooky vibes, I guess, kind of, but not like traditional horror, I guess, which probably makes no sense, but here we are. So yeah, it was nice kind of like seeing everything come to a resolution, and the ending to this is kind of like open-ish, but I feel like it's one of those books where the open ending kind of works, because it kind of like brings into question what really happened, even though like it feels really obvious it's kind of like pointing towards like one thing happening, but it is like slightly open to interpretation, I guess. Since it is Monday, I will go ahead and tell you what I finished today. I finally finished In the Dream House. I gave it 2 stars. It was okay. Don't really want to talk about it, but it wasn't like as groundbreaking to me as it was for everyone else. It was just okay. I personally would not recommend this. That's just me. Obviously, everyone else loves it. It has like a 4.5 on GoodReads, and it won like many awards. And it felt very pretentious at times. So yeah, like this could have been like a short story, a novella, but it did not need to be like a full-length novel, because like the last like 40 pages were just kind of like wasted almost. And I don't know. Spent a lot of time talking about the same things over and over again. And like I get why those just kind of like show the cycle of abuse, but like, the author doesn't do anything like interesting with that really. Just gonna come up with the same like basic general ground over and over again. So it felt kind of like we were wasting our time doing the same thing over and over again for like no real purpose. I did also start Tower of Dawn. Right now I'm like 100 and something pages into it. I am liking it so far. It felt weird to like read in this world again after like not having read a book in this world for like months, but I'm back into it. So far I'm liking Irene and Nesrin. Yeah, Nesrin. I'm interested in like seeing how all the like princes and princesses kind of like come into play. Basically where I'm at right now, or kind of like Irene has kind of like agreed to like heal Kale, but they're kind of like not really liking each other still. She does know that there is like that weird magic still inside of him, and she doesn't know if she can like actually heal it yet because of like she hasn't met the magic before. So yeah, it's kind of wild. And I forgot this takes place like in the middle of Empire Storms basically. So like it's weird to think about how Empire of Storms ends, and then we're like going to this kind of like starting all over again, because they mentioned like how the capital fell, and I'm like, that happened like forever ago. What are you guys talking about? But no. So yeah, that's weird to think about. So I'm like kind of liking seeing their own like perspective on things. The blog will probably end here, but I will probably finish reading this at some point soonish. I do want to finish my TBR. So yeah, this will probably wrap up the vlog for the trick or treat-a-thon. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, like, share all that, and hopefully I will see you next week.